It's truly a wonderful morning, and I welcome everyone here to the India Business Group Chamber of Commerce. A humble request towards the beginning to kindly have your audios on mute and your videos off for some time, please. I'm going to request you all to kindly stop your videos, as we will all have the opportunity towards the end to have the videos on for a group photo op. So for now, may I kindly request you all to have your videos off. We are all talking about the current status and the situation going on. And there's only one question in everyone's minds. What is the scenario right now? And what will be the scenario post COVID-19? My dear lovely friends, today we have an expert here with us. It's time for us to welcome Mr. Sushil Kumar Jiwarajka, His Excellency, Honorary Consul General of Greece and Mumbai, and the Chairman of Artion Group. I want to speak more about him and speak in elaborate, but right after some time. There is a unique surprise for all of you towards the end. So I'm going to request you all to kindly hold back and stay with us for that surprise. I think it's the very first time we're going to have this surprise on this webinar, one of its kind cafe webinars we have here at IBG. While it's a surprise for all of you, you keep guessing that and take your mind away from that. But do remember that today is a great day and a wondrous surprise that we all have. Towards the beginning, for all those who are new, I'm going to request you all to have your email IDs here with us so that we can connect with you and let you know about the future endeavors as well. India Business Group Chamber of Commerce, one of its kind, started by the founder, Mr. Vikash Mitra Sen, who had this vision of really letting all the entrepreneurs have their right vision and excel in their endeavors, where you get this platform to interact with people. And as Mr. Vikash Mitra Sen says, if you're not networking, you're not working. I took it extremely seriously myself, and so everyone believes in, because this truly is the need of the hour, especially when we are at home. So thank you very much. And without any further ado, may we please kindly request the founder of India Business Group Chamber of Commerce and Honorary Consul General of Mali, well, I must say and speak about the Nazara Technologies, which has gone completely as a super powerful achiever during this lockdown period. A humble request to our author and business guru, Mr. Vikash Mitra Sen, to kindly address everyone, please. So you'll have to unmute, please. I'm going to request you to unmute. Thank you.
Hi all guys. How are things with you all? We have a great speaker today. And I personally think that things are not so bad generally. Businesses were down, but they seem to be edging up. We have been fortunate and we have been doing better than before, but we are a digital business, so naturally we'll be doing better on a lockdown period. How are the rest doing? I'd like to know, generally whenever I get a chance, people to send us mails talking about their business. So I won't hold you any further, Simran. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. You always have the words of wisdom. And now may we kindly request Ms. Priya Pansare, our CEO of IBG, to kindly address everyone. Good morning to you, Priya. You're looking lovely as ever.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Simran, for your kind words always. To our members, there are a few updates. We are very soon launching Masterclass series, which will be a unique platform, especially to our members. It's going to be complimentary to all our members and the audience coming onto IBG's platform, where you'll get learning from each series. The next will be on 23rd July. With that, we are also doing webinars, we are doing sector meetings, and we are doing only for members special meetings also. So there are a lot of activities happening on IBG's platform. The people who are new, I would request you to get onto our inner circle soon, so that you are in the business circle and you know what's exactly happening. You will get a lot of referrals to our platform and everything, so on and so forth. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Simran. Please go ahead.
Thank you, dear Priya. That's very kind of you. I'm also going to take this opportunity of truly thanking Girish and Siddhi for coordinating everything and making me super comfortable. And to all our lovely friends, it's time for us to introduce you to our legend with a great expertise, great experience. May we kindly welcome His Excellency Mr. Sushil Kumar Jiwarajka, Honorary Consul General of Greece in Mumbai and the Chairman of Artheon Group. He's also the Chairman and Managing Director of SJ Ericsson Private Limited, the Executive Chairman of OMC Power Private Limited. He has promoted OMC Power Company Private Limited, which has been providing clean power using renewable energy for the telecom sites and rural communities. This company has won several prestigious awards. Here are some of the key achievements that they've had. I'm not going to go with the awards because then we'll finish the session just by talking of the awards. But here are some of the key achievements. The chairman of Maharashtra State Security Council, the founder of Medical Tourism Council of Maharashtra, who led the business delegation accompanying the first ever presidential visit to Sweden to Belarus in the year 2015. As the chairman of FICCI WRC, he pioneered several initiatives to promote airports. A keen enthusiast of Indian film music, Mr. Jiwarajka is associated with several social and cultural organizations, and he's extremely passionate about doing philanthropic work. It's absolutely an honor for all of us. And now, in case you are thinking just like me that what would be the surprise towards the end, so let me tell you, he's fabulous with Shero Shairis and Bollywood songs. So we'll just request him to really take us on that lighter note towards the end and sing a song for all of us and take us into the world of Shairi, especially being in the industry that you belong to, His Excellency. Mr. Sushil, I think it's a very, very different, background that you have and interests and passions that you have that you still follow. So yes, today it's going to be all about the industrial scenario post-COVID and the opportunities and threats. I'm going to request all of you to kindly have your questions in the chat box. And once again, a humble request to all of you to kindly have your audios on mute and videos off for now before we get into towards the end where we have a group photo op. May we please, with a smile, welcome His Excellency Mr. Sushil Kumar Jiwarajka. Thank you, sir. Absolutely a pleasure for all of us to be here with you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Simran, for the very kind words of introduction. I have to thank also Vikas and Priya for giving me this opportunity to address this very august group of businessmen. And the topic that has been selected has very wide implications for each and every one of us who are in business. And so, with a disclaimer that I am not addressing you as Honorary Consul General of Greece, but as a businessman and as an industry body head. And I hope to give you some glimpse of what I see is happening in the world and also in India, and how do we get impacted. So, just a small light aside to begin with, Vikas and Nazara, so Vikas means development, and development के लिए नजरिया बदलना पड़ेगा, and which will be the theme of the talk that I'm going to give, that we need a different perspective to come out a winner at the end. So let us take a little bit of history and what has happened. We are seeing a confluence of at least three trends globally. One is the pandemic that has impacted everyone in human history. But if you compare with what happened 100 years ago when the Spanish flu pandemic took place, 50 million people had died. And it recurred in two additional phases besides the first one. And more deaths took place in the second round and in the third round. Compared to that, in 100 years, the population of the world has exploded and the number of deaths is minuscule. So we must see things in perspective. But the fact is that we are now in a globally connected world, and the amount of negative media coverage that is given in every TV channel, every newspaper is putting the fear of God into all of us and has got us locked down into our homes. This has also coincided with the economic as well as geopolitical changes that are taking place worldwide. Friends are becoming enemies, enemies are becoming friends. China, Russia, and Iran have become one group. America, India, Australia, and Japan have become another group. Energy no longer is the oil and gas sector is no longer as important as it was many years ago. And this is also bringing about a shift in geopolitical groupings. And these all have a severe impact on the businesses that we do. And that is the reason why we need to get it in the right context. Another trend that is happening is countries have started becoming inward looking. So Atmanirbharta is the theme in India. Mr. Trump has his own theme of bringing back glory to America and so on and so forth. And again, that has a huge implication on business because more business will start happening within the country than on a global arena. This is also undoing more than 30 years of painstaking work of multilateral agencies like WTO, the Climate Group, etc. And it is going to impact businesses in a very significant way. And therefore, if you want to understand the impact on your particular business, it is also very important that you understand the global dynamics because each one will have an impact. Now, the world economy is expected to shrink by about between 5 and 7%, which is unprecedented in economic history. And this also means that it will lead to a global recession and hunger and poverty will be on the rise. On the positive side, the oil prices are at a historic low and therefore it impacts a country like India very positively. And despite this reduction in exports, during the month of June, India has had a trade surplus for the first time in 25 years. This is also helping the government to offset part of the increased expenses due to the pandemic that is raging in our country. So I'd like to invoke from our history the concept of Samudra Manthan and Pralay. So in Samudra Manthan, when there was a tug of war going on between the Asuras, who were the demons, and the Devas, who were the gods, as to who will win and who will get the Amrit or nectar of life, when the churning started happening on the top of a mountain, it led to a lot of turbulence and a lot of destruction. And what emerged on the surface first was poison, which Shankarji had to consume, and that's why he became Nilkant. Before you got nectar, and then the nectar was had by the gods, and therefore they won the battle. So good triumphed over evil. Now, why am I bringing this as well as Pralay? Pralay is, the end of the world, doomsday, everything is going to be destroyed. That both these have a great significance in what we are experiencing just now. You can see that all the negative guys at the moment are on the ascendancy. We can see a lot of turbulence, whether it is forest fires or volcano eruptions or pandemics, storms, etc. The world, everything seems to be in a huge disorder, and that nature is fighting back and saying, we need to get back into the right world order. And we start believing that this is the end of the world. This is the fear in the minds of most people. But what actually was meant by Pralay was that a new old world order will come into place to replace the old order, which will go away. And so we are emerging into a completely new world order. When all this will stabilize and settle down, you will see Amrit at the end, and you are going to awaken into a completely new world. Now, what does this new world look like? What are the key trends? And therefore, it will give you indications of what areas that you should be focusing on. The first thing is that the world is going digital. Vikas mentioned that he's in the digital era and therefore he's doing very well. So he's in the right space. The second trend is that businesses will go online. The fact that we are not having a physical meeting and we are having an online meeting is a testament of this. And for all times to come, you'll find that a lot of transactions, businesses, meetings will move online. The third trend is going to be affordability. So whatever businesses that you are in, if you are in the luxury business, you're going to see a lot of pain. If you are in the affordable business, you're going to see high growth. Adaptive is another word that you must try and remember. If you do not adapt quickly to the pace of change, you will be left by the wayside. And frugal. So if you do not very quickly reduce cost, improve efficiency, improve productivity, then also you're going to face a lot of problem and possible extinction. Now, coming to India, to validate the statements that I made above, you see the recent success of Reliance Industries in garnering about $20 billion from some of the world's biggest companies who are all in the tech space. Why have they invested this kind of money in the period of lockdown? Because the world will move online, as I said. Geo platforms is a huge platform which is covering 400 million people and which will provide affordable services in the area of education, entertainment, agriculture, healthcare, etc. And the valuations of such kind of companies in the US, if you look at any platform, whether it is Amazon or Netflix or Facebook, their valuations are at around $400 billion to $1 trillion. And they do not cover the entire gamut of services that Geo platform will provide. They gave this shares at a valuation of about 68 to 70 billion. So the potential to rise to 500 billion is very much there. Other platforms in China like Alibaba, etc., have shown that you can have huge growth in valuations when you create the right kind of platforms. Another new norm that is that we are all witnessing is work from home, which is what we are doing just now. This would normally have been from an office environment. I'm sitting in the comfort of my bedroom and addressing an august audience. Now, this has got implications, particularly for the real estate sector. If, as per NASSCOM, 30% or 33% of the workforce will start operating from home, then millions of square feet of commercial space is going to be relinquished in the coming few months, and tenancies are not going to be renewed. This means that there is going to be a huge downside for the commercial real estate space, and many of the developers who are not well funded or who are highly leveraged are going to become extinct in this period. Work from home will also means that, now you need an office room in a home, which is different than just having one extra room in the house. So which means architects and designers, etc., will have to design homes keeping in mind the fact that one room is required for doing your office work. It needs privacy, it needs soundproofing, it needs Wi-Fi, secure environment, etc. Also, from a concentrated cluster structure, of cyber security and all the security protocols, now you have a distributed architecture, and this presents a huge opportunity for companies in this space who are providing the
Yeah.
security and distributed architecture. And those who are in this company or would like to look at a potential, this is a great area to be in. Luxury apartments are sale is going to drastically come down, whereas affordable housing will go up in a big way. So the new trend will be that people will move out of these crowded urban cities, which are like a gas bomb in terms of the air quality index, etc., and move into satellite new towns, which will be more symbiotic with nature, that will emerge, and where the pricing will be very low. So the demand for luxury housing is also going to remain subdued for quite some time. So rentals and property prices will see a downward trend, which will, on the one hand, be bad for the real estate sector, but it will be good for businesses and for middle class people who find the current rates of real estate to be absolutely unaffordable. The aviation, travel, tourism sectors are badly affected, and they will remain for quite some time. You can look at it, nobody's traveling, nobody's going into hotels. So one trend will be that people who still want to go and travel, they will start doing domestic travel versus international travel, and they will move to those states and those destinations where the COVID impact has been minimal. So one will have to tailor the business accordingly. Then cinema halls, shopping malls, live events, weddings, these sectors are going to see a big drop. Now, if you can get Netflix and Amazon at 1,200 bucks to 2,000 rupees, why will you go into a cinema hall and have the risk of catching a virus? So many of these Inox PVR kind of complexes are going to see a drastic reduction in their business. So also shopping malls, already they are seeing a severe downturn in the rentals that are being asked for by the anchor tenants. And they will also have to reinvent themselves to be able to be relevant in these times. Live events and weddings, I know that these companies are moving online, and they are being aided by technology. For those of you who are not familiar, but augmented reality, mixed reality, extended reality, these will become buzzwords. And if you see some of the new shows of, say, Katy Perry using these technologies, they are mind-boggling, and the experience is 100 times superior than what you would do in a live event. So whether it's cricket matches or live performances, etc., while they will happen, a lot of that consumption will move online, and the number of people actually going to attend this will come down significantly. Of course, the healthcare sector is seeing a huge upside. The expenditure on healthcare infrastructure, which is very minimal in our country, especially in the tier 3 towns and villages. I believe that the budgetary allocation on healthcare will double, and pharma companies, diagnostic companies, those who make furniture and equipment for hospitals and these sectors, they are going to see a huge upside and are already experiencing it. You can see the pharma companies they are running to full capacity and expanding rapidly. And India might slowly become the medicine factory for the rest of the world. So those who supply to the pharmaceutical sector, the specialty chemicals, the packaging, the logistics sector, they are already experiencing a huge uptick in their demand. So it's very important that one becomes innovative, and the trends that we have seen, there are the quick adapters. So for example, the textile companies, the ready-made garment companies in Tirupur and elsewhere, they have quickly adapted to making PPE kits, masks and gloves, etc. And even a company which Reliance recently acquired called Alok Textiles, they are now producing 75,000 PPE kits and 2 lakh masks per day. So just look at the scenario. 3 months ago, we were importing by chartered flights from China PPE kits and masks, and today we are manufacturing in India 5 lakh PPE kits per day. And once the export restrictions are removed, we will soon be starting to supply to the global market. So this sector is seeing a huge uptick. You saw also the alcohol companies, there was no consumption. So they quickly started making sanitizers, because 65 to 70% content in a sanitizer is alcohol. Auto companies have started making ventilators. And the innovators that we have in the startup world, there was a guy in Kerala who has invented a ventilator for 15,000 rupees, which has more features than a current ventilator costing 15 lakh rupees. Now, you can imagine that this will move from being a tool in ICU in hospitals. It will move to every single home if it is 15,000 rupees, and there will be no need to get admitted into hospitals. So things like this, there are going to be so many innovations, and those who adapt. There was a packaging guy who from cardboard boxes has been able to make hospital beds, and which has been used in one of the new hospitals that has come up at the race course at Mahalakshmi, and so on and so forth. I think, I can give you 100 examples of such kind of innovation, where people are not sitting and predicting doomsday and saying, my life is coming to an end, but they've picked up their boots and said, come on, let's get going and adapt into a new business. Now, the government came out with several reforms in India, which was announced over a 5-day period by Nirmala Sitharaman. To my mind, the single biggest reform that will transform this country and rural India is in the field of agriculture. There were 4 important reforms that were announced, and very quickly. One was the monopoly of the agricultural produce marketing cooperatives has been removed. So in the past, a farmer could only sell to an agent registered in the local mandi. Now he has been unshackled and he can sell to anybody in India. The second thing, there was a restriction on interstate movement of agricultural produce. This has also been removed, and so for the first time, India has become one common market for all agricultural produce. The third one was removal of the Essential Commodities Act. This was a draconian act which was enacted in the 60s when India was in an absolute food crisis situation, and they wanted to preserve and prevent hoarding. And in today's environment where we are in a surplus food situation, this is something which needs to be relegated into history. So that has also been removed. And the fourth thing is that the farmer can directly sell to corporates. Now, what this is going to do is large corporates like Reliance and Godrej Foods and fast food, Big Basket, etc., they will get into the agricultural business, remove all the middlemen, and sign long-term contracts directly with farmers, giving them all modern techniques of farming, giving them the right inputs, both in terms of seeds and fertilizers, etc. And what this is going to do is going to multiply the income of the farmers on one hand, give the benefit lower pricing to the consumer. To give you an example, onion, I think I'm not able to concentrate. So this is going to give rise to cooperative farming, branded food, and they will move up the value chain and start addressing the international markets in a branded fashion. Also, it will start getting sold on e-commerce sites dedicated to the food sector. And Reliance has taken a very massive step in this direction. And you will see a lot of people following the same. So the government also has recently put up a 1 lakh crore fund for the agri-infrastructure sector. And those who are looking at new opportunities, I would urge them to look at it. The entire cold chain and food storage, etc., is going to see a huge uptake because of the entry of these large conglomerates. Retail is going to remain subdued as a lot of businesses moving onto e-commerce platforms, which means that packaging will see a huge upside, and all the logistics companies, you will see an emergence of hyper-local warehousing as well as neighborhood logistics companies. This is going to be a completely new sector, and I would urge people to look at this as well. The MSME sector, which most of us would be belonging to, is the most impacted. It provides the highest amount of employment, the largest contribution to exports, and nearly 80% of the raw material and component supplies to the large industry. So there has been a triple whammy. There is a shortage of materials, manpower, and money, and many of them are on the verge of getting extinguished. And if we have to survive, the government came up with some measures of 3 lakh crores, etc. Many of them have not yet seen any benefits. The banks are still wary of giving loans to these companies, and they believe that it will ultimately go bad. So although there is a sovereign guarantee, they have still not moved in an aggressive manner to release money to the MSME sector. Also, a lot of money is stuck up in taxation, subsidies, incentives, etc. And unless the government takes a very proactive step and aggressively improves the liquidity of this sector, it is going to have a significant impact on our economy, which had already started showing a downward trend and is expected to post a negative growth of 4 to 5% for the current year. So MSME sector, we cannot sit and wait for doomsday to arrive. I think proactive steps need to be taken to collaborate, to cooperate, to merge with each other, form larger companies. The definition of MSME sector has been substantially increased by the government, and this allows you to take the benefits of MSME without the fear of crossing the turnover limits. So there is a government site called GEMS. For those who don't know or have not used it, is an acronym for Government E-Market Services. And most of the PSUs and government departments have now switched over to online auction on these sites. And to give you an idea of the scale of change, during the last 1 year, the buying on the GEMS platform has increased to 1 lakh crores from the previous year of 25,000 crores. And as more and more departments shift to the GEMS platform, you will see a huge business opportunity there, because it has also democratized the process of buying by the government, and MSME sector can now compete with the big names and not to worry about whether they'll get muscled out in the normal tender process. And the other change that government has made, which will benefit the MSME sector, is the up to 200 crores, all tenders will have to be domestic, and not international companies will not be allowed to bid. Now, this was a route that was being taken by the Chinese companies to garner most of the business at highly subsidized rates. So this is another big opportunity to participate in the local tenders and get business. Now, if you see the budgetary allocation, there is a huge allocation for the infrastructure sector, whether it is roads, railways, bridges, ports, shipping, etc. Massive investments are going there, and those who will participate in becoming suppliers or EPC service providers to these sectors are going to have very good business. Also, now the defense sector, the government has opened up, with the border dispute. There is a silver lining to it, because the purchases in the defense ministry, which were at a very slow pace, have suddenly been accelerated, and the process also has been hastened up. And therefore, those who make components and goods for the defense sector will see a huge uptake. Now, the other trend that one saw was the migrant labor going back to their home states and home villages. And there has been a mass exodus of this migrant labor, particularly from the north and from the eastern belt. Now, a lot of these labor are not going to come back and will get absorbed in the rural economies, because the government has substantially increased the allocations for the Manrega scheme, which is food for work. They get 300 rupees a day, 320 rupees for 300 days. And the allocation for rural roads, for rural housing, and rural healthcare infrastructure. Huge allocation is happening. So they will get absorbed in these projects. Also, the NHAI, Mr. Gadkari announced, in the next 2 years, 15 lakh crores of road projects are getting sanctioned. And these will need a huge amount of this migrant labor. So those who are waiting that, things will, when things open up, all the labor will come back and it will be business as usual, they are in for root shock. At least it is anticipated that 33% of the migrant labor might not come back at all. And the way to address it is not to be brooding, but adapt technology, adapt robotics, do reskilling, and improve the productivity, and take the benefit of technology. Those who are in the soft side of the business, like apps, as you know, Chinese 59 apps have been banned. You saw immediately Zoom is being replaced by GeoMeet and Namaste and a whole host of other options are coming up, and with the banning of TikTok, the replicas from India are mushrooming by the day. So I see that there is a lot of innovation coming up, and those who will embrace it, embrace this innovation, are going to benefit substantially. So I would say, you know, if you need a mantra of how you can survive in these times, you have to raise the bar. And I'm using RAISE as an acronym. So the first is reduce cost and become frugal, retain cash at least for the next 18 months. Get rid of all unwanted inventory, unwanted assets, and keep yourself liquid at least for the next 18 months, because this is going to be the pain period. Adapt rapidly to new technologies to capture new markets. I already gave you some examples. You need to get into new products and go to newer markets. If you have not been in exports, go to export markets and find business there. For example, I was talking to Mr. Sajjan Jindal, and I told him, with this auto business coming down significantly, your business must have been impacted. He said, yes, the domestic is impacted, but I sent my guys all over the world, right to the farthest corners of the world, and we were able to make up 100% of the loss domestically with exports. Then innovate with new product ideas and new technologies. I gave you the example of this ventilators and cardboard box, etc. And there are so many. I can go on giving you multiple examples across sectors. And skilling. So you need to upskill and reskill your workers to meet the new challenges and new opportunities. I'll give you one example. The automobile sector, currently we are under Euro 4 norms, and the auto sector has to adapt to Euro 6 norms. And then the government has already made a vision of moving to full electric vehicles by 2030. It might get extended to 2035. Now, a combustion engine vehicle has about 20,000 components, and an e-vehicle has only 500 components. Now, what will happen to these 19,500 component manufacturers? If they go on waiting till that last day, it is like waiting for suicide to happen and then you actually die. They have to re-engineer the businesses, find newer models of business or newer components to make if they have to remain relevant. And history has shown whenever there is such major disruption in technology, an entire segment of industries get wiped out. And now the e-vehicle industry, for example, the government has said should use lithium-ion batteries. So there is a huge market for energy storage, and that is emerging. In the power sector, India is moving towards smart metering, and this is more than a 2 lakh crore new opportunity that didn't exist until yesterday. All your electric meters, your gas meters and water meters will become smart meters, and it's another massive new opportunity that is waiting. In the renewable sector, we have certain goals, very ambitious goals that have been set by the government. That is going on quite well, and it will get a further boost because of banning of Chinese products. So you'll see a big spurt in local manufacturing of panels and cells and in the EPC business as we go ahead. And the traditional power sector, which is dependent on the discoms, they are in a bad shape and will continue to be in a bad shape because they are not getting payments from their end customers because of the slowdown in the economy. And therefore, all those who are supplying to the traditional sector, they are facing huge liquidity problems, and they will see and that the demand for those products is also subdued. So with this broad thing, with the limited time, I would like to end with two things, which I hope will put you in the right framework of mind. There's an old song sung by Mukesh. The words are, छोड़ो कल की बातें, कल की बात पुरानी, नया दौर है, नई उमंगें, अब है नई जवानी, हम हिंदुस्तानी. That Junoon was there 60 years ago also. I think we need to re-invoke that nationalistic spirit and the entrepreneurial spirit that is very much imbibed into a genetic being of every Indian. And forget about doomsday. Pralay is not there. It has given birth to a new horizon, and Amrit is there for yours in the near future. And I would also like to quote one shairi, which should also give you some idea of how you can be in a positive mind. बेहतर से बेहतर की तलाश करो, मिल जाए नदी तो समंदर की तलाश करो, टूट जाते हैं शीशे पत्थरों की चोट से, तोड़ दे पत्थर ऐसे शीशे की तलाश करो. So keep innovating, keep positive, stay healthy, and those who remain afloat have a very bright future ahead. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'll be happy to take questions.
Sure. Thank you very much, Mr. Sushil Kumar. And to leave it on a lighter note, because, just like me, I'm sure everyone must be like, all right. So thank you for covering all the sectors. Overall, you've covered all the sectors. And remember, it's always reinvent and innovative. So here we have a couple of questions. The first question is by Mr. Vikash Mitasen, who says, how are chambers of commerce assisting members during COVID? And is the government money reaching the SME sector as announced?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So I think that the role of chambers of commerce itself is undergoing a change, and unless the chambers reinvent themselves, I think many of the chambers will become extinct in the next 1 year's time. So the chambers will have to prepare a transition from the old economy to the new economy, from the old technology to the new technology, from the non-digital world to the digital world. And this transition by individual companies is going to be very difficult, and they need hand-holding to ensure that they don't drown, that they survive this pandemic period, and that they are well prepared. As I said, also, retraining, reskilling of the workforce to embrace new technologies. Here, the chamber can play a very significant role, and I do hope that IBG will be one of the front runners in this space, because as I said, you have Vikas as the boss, and he has a Nazara and a Nazaria, so he can lead the way for the new chambers of commerce. Regarding the benefits, I already mentioned that a lot of the benefits have not reached the MSME in the manner and scale that it should have. It's smaller, it is reaching, but not the scale that it should have. So I think, again, strong pressure from the chambers of commerce to the government to become more proactive, and also talking to the banking sector collectively as a group. An MSME individual unit hardly has a voice, but together, collectively, you can have one of the strongest voices. So that is what I would recommend.
Sure. Will exports perish because all countries are now turning inwards due to COVID?
Yeah, partially that may be true, but not completely. As I said, for example, we are becoming the medicine factory for the world. All the pharma companies, they've seen a massive increase in their exports. I told you about PPE kits, masks, gloves. We are still importing nitrile gloves. And single orders are there for 100 million or 10 billion gloves, one single order. Now this is being supplied by Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam. There is no reason why local manufacturers should not mushroom at a very fast pace. You know, you can put it up in 3 months, and you have a global market, because the future, this wearing of gloves and all is going to become the new norm. It is not going away with the pandemic. Yeah, and you're going to wash your hands many times more than what you did in the past. You know, we said Indians were unhygienic and we never washed and cleaned. This is going to change. So the sanitizer business is not going away, even when things become normal. So you have to look at what are the new opportunities that are coming up. And there are dime a dozen. I'll give you another example. We used to import all the mobile phones from China. In 2014, when Mr. Modi came, that time there were only 2 companies producing in India, and there were only 2,000 crore turnover. Then he pushed for local manufacture. So today there are 220 companies, and the turnover is 2,20,000 crores from 2,000 crores in just 6 years. But nearly 80% of the components are still being imported from China. The government is working on wooing all the component manufacturers from China, who are actually Taiwanese companies, to bring these Taiwanese companies to produce in India. And once we do that, we will become the alternate to China for meeting the global demand of mobile phones. So there are so many, you have to see whether it is a glass is half empty or half full.
All right, here we have a next question. Do you think cooperative farming can be better option to have a vertical of business? How will reforms in the agro sector help cooperative farming?
So I've already explained that. So you can now go for cooperative farming, contract farming, farmer producer organizations. There are various models that are available, and those who would like to go into that business, you will find that there are a lot of advisors who will mushroom in the very near future, because that, to my mind, is the single biggest opportunity in this country.
We have yet another question. Do you think
Just
Uberization?
One example, you know, in Lassalgaon, which is near Nasik, onions are sold for 4 rupees, and yet you and me buy it for 40 rupees, right? So neither the farmer is getting an economic value for his effort, nor are you getting a real value for the product. So today, in this pandemic period, Lassalgaon farmers, they adapted technology very quickly and started approaching housing societies in Bombay, including mine, where we aggregated demand. These fellows put it on a truck and showed us a video that this is the truck number and it will come directly to your building, right? Now he sold to us for 20 rupees. So we got at half the price, and the farmer got 20 rupees instead of 4 rupees. Even if you deduct the cost of transportation, etc., he at least got 10 rupees net for his produce. Now this is what is going to happen. A lot of these middlemen are going to vanish, and that's why I told you hyper local warehousing and neighborhood logistics, transportation, you know, using e-vehicles to deliver into neighborhoods, because these large trucks cannot come and deliver to your individual building. So this will mushroom a completely new way of doing agriculture business.
So we have a question which says, do you think Uberization of workforce will hamper the manufacturing sector?
No, as I told you, that as far as the manufacturing sector is concerned, they will face shortage of skilled manpower and availability of manpower, and they have to adapt new technologies. Robotics, which used to cost $10 million, is now available at $10,000. You know, 3D printers are available at a significantly lower price, and those who are adapting these technologies, they have been very quickly able to make the change.
And the question which this doctor has asked is actually question in everyone's minds, and we would like that easy answer from you. So she says that I have a lubricant manufacturing company at Jaipur. Would you suggest how to increase sales in my case? And they manufacture industrial and automotive lubricants.
Well, as I said, the auto industry at the moment is in a downturn because there was a huge inventory buildup. The positive sign is that the retail sale is more than the production that happened last month, which is a good trend. As the inventory dries up, the production will pick up. And to my mind, a lot of the population are going to shun public transport and start buying smaller cars. So I see in the near future that the demand for small cars in this country will see a very big uptick. And also transportation, as I said, if logistics business does well, then auto sector also does well. In the meanwhile, he must look for alternate sectors where he can make business for supplying lubricants.
Sir, if you don't mind, we just have the last question.
Yeah.
How will our Honorable PM's Atmanirman policy work?
It's not Atmanirman, Atmanirbharta. So,
Atmanirbharta, sure.
Yeah, which is self-reliance. Nothing can be better than that, for the manufacturing sector, because there is a huge focus on all government bodies that whatever they were buying from abroad, they have to now source from Indian companies. And therefore, we must make use of this opportunity to grow our businesses, diversify our businesses, and come out of this pandemic as a winner.
Sure. I'm going to take this opportunity of truly thanking His Excellency, Mr. Sushil Kumar Jiwarajka, for the entire expertise in the industry front from all the sectors. And we have plenty of questions. But I'm going to ask you, sir, and request you if you could, is it possible to share your email ID with everyone? Because we have lots of questions which are on, on robotics, automation, and the like. So is there any possibility if you can do that and share your email ID where people can connect with you? Only if
I
it's
can
possible.
share it with you, and you can share it with all the members. Yeah.
Sure. So we will share it in the chat box as well. And I'm going to once again thank you, Mr. Sushil Kumar. And sir, I'm going to truly wait for that one Shero Shairi before we request Mr. Vikash Mitasen to speak.
No, so the
Take it on a lighter note, because we are all thinking reinvent, innovation, our thoughts are all on, and, we're trying to get into that vision of what next. So please, to take it on a lighter note.
Now the Shairi I've already recited.
Okay.
But if you want, I'll sing 2 lines of one song. Okay?
Please, sir, please.
And I made it an attitude of my life, and others can do so as well, मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया, हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ाता चला गया, हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ा, बर्बादियों का सोब मनाना फजूल था, बर्बादियों का सोब मनाना फजूल था, बर्बादियों का सोब मनाना फजूल था, मनाना फजूल था, बर्बादियों का जश्न मनाता चला गया, गम और खुशी में फर्क न महसूस हो जहां, गम और खुशी में फर्क न महसूस हो जहां, गम और खुशी में फर्क न महसूस हो जहां, न महसूस हो जहां, मैं जिंदगी को उस मकाम पे लाता चला गया, फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ाता चला गया. Thank you.
Thank you so much. With the world going the digital way and this beautiful classical song, it was absolutely a pleasure. I'm going to request Mr. Vikash Mitasen to kindly address everyone.
What a knowledge-filled talk today. I used to think that I know everything about business, but this guy beats me hands down. So I think probably go and take some coaching classes from him once things are back to normal. The other thing is that taking a cue from what he says, I have also since a few years made my life laissez faire, if you know what I mean. I try to do things. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't matter. You move on to the next thing. I never stress about anything at all. And one thing that Sushilji said, the chambers of commerce need to change, else they will die. Let me tell you, in IBG, the day we got the lockdown, I knew that we are gone for a year. We won't be able to do any physical events that we did earlier. So we quickly converted IBG into an international online chamber. And we've done with tens of chamber of commerce worldwide tie-ups. And we are now bringing our members to their members. We're doing seminars, we're doing webinars with them, with the members, introducing our members. So this is the way, Sushilji, we changed IBG.
Very good. But I must tell you, you said this is a networking organization, and what you have to adapt to be able to network is work on the net.
So we're doing that.
Right?
Yeah.
You mentioned about, moving on. When some business is not working, you move on.
Yes.
के लिए महेंद्र कपूर जी का एक बहुत सुंदर गाना है उसकी
जरूर सुनाइए
वो अफसाना जिसे अंजाम तक लाना न हो मुमकिन वो अफसाना जिसे अंजाम तक लाना न हो मुमकिन उसे एक खूबसूरत मोड़ देकर छोड़ना अच्छा चलो एक बार फिर से बन जाए so this is very important कि एक खूबसूरत मोड़ देके छोड़ देना अच्छा है we keep on continuing जब तक दीवार पे अपना सर नहीं फोड़ लेना तब तक उसके पीछे ही लगे रहेंगे मेरे बाप दादा ने ये किया था परदादा ने छोड़ने के लिए तैयार नहीं तो we have to let go and have detached involvement. That's very important.
That's what I do. Priya, out of this one thing that comes to mind, why don't we have a ghazal evening with him one of these days? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Great pleasure. I'm sure our IBG members would enjoy his songs and his ghazals and everything. Poetry.
We'll do an online bar evening with him singing. Thank you very much.
Anyway, thank you much for this opportunity.
Over to you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot, Simran. You go ahead.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Vikash. And I would like to tell Mr. Sushil, so along with the questions on the industry, we also have farmaish of songs already here. So thank you so much. I'm going to request everyone, and Priya, thank you so much for this wondrous opportunity. I'm going to request everyone to have the videos on so we could have a group photo op. And Ghazal se mujhe yaad aaya, I'm the television talk show host for Celebrities in Unison show, which is on TV Asia, and I'm my show with Talat Aziz, the Ghazal Maestro. So yeah, I'm truly delighted, and definitely Vikas sir, we should have it on the IBG platform as well. It'll be fun and interesting as well. So I'm going to request everyone to have your videos on for a group photo op with our legend who's here with us, who shared his expertise on every sector of the industry. And I'm so overwhelmed because I think it was truly enlightening for all of us. And though we are all thinking of getting into that innovative space, the creative space, for now we are relaxed because of the song. So thank you very much for a fusion and a mixture of the classical song along with the new techno savvy world. So everyone, can I please have your videos on? Yes, for everyone. Thank you. We'll just take another 1 minute, requesting everyone to have the videos on. Thank you. For everyone, you can have your audio on mute and your videos on for a group photo op. Okay. So here we are. Thank you everyone for joining us and being here with us, and we look forward to meeting you for a next session. Please be connected here with IBG, India Business World, where we have a series of webinars So everyone, can I humbly request you all to have your videos on? Thank you, everyone. Thank you. And Girish is all set. Thank you. So we're going to have a smile on the countdown of 3. 1, 2, please smile. We have a few more people who are joining us, so we'll wait for them as well. So let's have it. All the videos on, please. Oh, we still have so many of them. I'm just going to take another 10 seconds. Can I request everyone to have your videos on, please? Thank you. And a group photo op for everyone who's here. 3, 2, and please smile. Once again, we truly thank Mr. Sushil, and thank you. We took a little extra time from you, but I already took the permission from you yesterday in case we go 5 minutes overboard, but I went 8 minutes overboard. But thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to have you here on India Business Group Chamber of Commerce platform, and so much to learn from our legend. Truly, truly thanks to you. And as Vikas said, yes, we must have some session with pretty soon once the lockdown is over, personal session, because everyone is going to ask for their endeavors and get a clear picture of how to go about making the best out of it, sharing your expertise and your experience. Thank you very much, and a global namaste to everyone who joined us here. We look forward to welcoming you coming Tuesday and coming Friday for yet another sessions. My name is Simran Ahuja, and a humble thanks to Mr. Sushil, Mr. Vikash, Ms. Priya, and everyone here at the IBG family.
Thank you so much, Simran, for conducting it so beautifully and bringing a glamour quotient to the meeting. Yeah, and you have an infectious smile. Don't lose it anytime.
Sure, we will send it to you as well. Thank you so much. Thank you, and a global namaste to everyone.